She feared the Terran she was compelled to wed, until he treated her like no one ever did. The Chamber of Stars was silent when the Terran arrived. Lady Ariseth stood near the tall crystal window, her hands folded tight in front of her. Outside, the capital world of her people glowed in soft blues and silver lights. It should have been beautiful. Tonight it felt like a cage. She had been told since childhood that this day would come. A forced union, a political bond, her life traded for peace. What she had not expected was that the groom would be Terran. Humans were spoken of in fearful whispers across the Empire. They were said to be bold, stubborn, and impossible to control. A species that smiled while planning 10 steps ahead. A species that survived worlds that should have killed them. Ariseth's hearts beat faster as the doors opened. The Terran walked in alone. No guards, no loud display, no signs of pride. He was taller than her with dark hair and calm eyes. He wore simple formal clothing, not the ornate armor many expected from humans. He stopped several steps away from her and lowered his head slightly. "I am Aaron Hale," he said, his voice steady and quiet. "I thank you for meeting me." Ariseth blinked. He had thanked her. She had prepared herself for a command, a claim, or at least a sharp tone. Instead, she heard respect. "You may speak," she said carefully, her translator adjusting her words. Aaron nodded once. He did not step closer. He did not look around the chamber as if he owned it. "I know this union was not your choice," he said. "It was not mine either. I want you to know I will not force anything upon you." Her grip tightened. Terrans were not supposed to say things like that. "You are aware," she replied slowly, "that our laws grant you authority as my bonded partner." "Yes," he said, "and I will not use that authority against your will." She searched his face for deception. Humans were clever, everyone knew that. This could be a performance. "Why?" she asked. Aaron paused before answering, as if the question mattered. "Because peace built on fear never lasts," he said, "and because you deserve more than obedience." No one had ever said that to her. Ariseth turned away from the window, studying him fully now. He met her gaze but did not stare. There was no hunger in his eyes, no judgment. The council observers watched from the shadows, their expressions unreadable. The binding ceremony was short and formal. Words were spoken, symbols were exchanged. Ariseth felt numb through most of it. She expected to feel claimed. Instead, she felt uncertain. When it ended, the council elder gestured toward the exit. "You may retire to the shared residence." Ariseth's breath caught. This was it, the moment she feared. Aaron spoke before she could move. "Would you prefer time alone first?" The elder frowned. "That is not necessary." Aaron turned slightly toward the elder. "With respect, she has endured a long day. I can wait." The room stilled. No Terran had ever contradicted the council so calmly. Ariseth felt something strange rise in her chest. Not fear, not relief, something else. The elder clicked his tongue in displeasure but waved a hand. "Very well, 1 cycle." Aaron turned back to her. "I will stay in the outer quarters," he said. "You may lock the inner doors if you wish." She stared at him. "You trust me that much?" she asked. He gave a small smile. "Trust is a choice. I am choosing it first." He bowed again and left the chamber. Ariseth remained still long after the doors closed. In her private chamber she paced. Her attendants whispered nervously, unsure how to behave now that a Terran was bound to their lady. "He did not demand anything," one said quietly. "That is more frightening," another replied. Ariseth dismissed them all. She sat alone on the edge of her rest platform, her thoughts tangled. Every lesson she had learned about humans said this was wrong. Humans took control. Humans pushed. Humans dominated, yet the Terran had stepped back. When the next cycle arrived, she found him exactly where he said he would be, seated in the outer quarters, reading from a small data slate. He stood immediately when she entered. "I hope you rested," he said. She inclined her head. "I did." Silence followed, but it was not heavy. They walked through the residence together. Aaron asked simple questions, what temperature she preferred, which light spectrum felt comfortable, whether silence or background sound helped her think. No one had ever asked her such things. When a servant entered without announcement, Aaron stepped aside and waited for Ariseth to speak first. The servant noticed. Word spread quickly. Later that cycle, they attended a formal meal with minor nobles. Ariseth was spoken over, as she always was. Aaron did not interrupt. But when a noble dismissed her suggestion with a laugh, Aaron looked at Ariseth and said, "I would like to hear her thoughts fully." The table went quiet. Ariseth felt heat rush to her face. She spoke, her voice steady despite her surprise. No one interrupted. After the meal, she confronted him in private. "You challenged them," she said. "That could cause trouble." "I know," he replied, "but silence would have caused more. Why defend me? Because you deserved to be heard." That answer stayed with her days past. He never entered her space without permission. He never raised his voice. When she was distant, he accepted it. When she spoke sharply, he did not retaliate. Ariseth began to notice things. He rose early to adjust the garden temperature so her favorite plants thrived. He learned her language beyond what the translator provided. He listened more than he spoke. One cycle, she found him standing on the balcony, looking out at the city. "Do you regret this?" she asked suddenly. He turned to her. "Do you?" She hesitated. "I feared you." "I expected that. And now," she searched for the word, "I do not understand you." He smiled softly. "That is a start." The council summoned them soon after. They were displeased. The marriage was not producing the image they wanted. "The Terran appears weak," one elder said. "You must assert dominance." Erin's expression did not change. "I will not." Ariseth held her breath. "This union exists to prevent conflict," he continued. "Forcing her would create resentment. That leads to war." The elders muttered among themselves. Ariseth realized then that he was risking more than comfort. He was risking his position, possibly his safety, all to protect her autonomy. When they returned home, she stopped him at the doorway. "You did not have to do that," she said. "Yes," he replied, "I did." She looked at him for a long moment. The fear she once felt was fading, replaced by something steady. "Stay," she said. He nodded. "Only if you wish." "I do." They sat together, not touching, watching the city lights change color. For the first time since the bond was announced, Ariseth felt something unexpected. Not fear, hope. And somewhere far beyond their world, the galaxy continued to believe it understood Terrans. It was wrong. The days after that quiet evening passed slowly, but nothing felt the same to Lady Ariseth anymore. The residence no longer felt like a prison. It felt uncertain, shifting, as if its walls were learning something new along with her. Aaron kept his word. He never crossed a line she did not invite him to cross. When he woke, he remained in the outer quarters. When he worked, he did so in shared spaces or left the residence entirely. Every action felt measured, careful, and chosen. Ariseth watched him more than she realized. She noticed how he greeted servants by name once he learned them, how he thanked them for small things others ignored, how he waited even when protocol allowed him to act first. This unsettled the household. Whispers followed him through the halls. "He is strange for a Terran. He does not behave like a bonded male. Perhaps he is planning something." Ariseth heard it all. Fear did not leave easily. It lingered in habits and old lessons. One morning, she entered the shared dining space earlier than usual. She found Aaron preparing food himself. That alone was unusual. Terrans were allowed servants. He looked up and froze slightly, as if worried he had done something wrong. "I can stop," he said quickly. "I did not mean to disturb you." "You did not," she replied. "What are you doing?" "I read that your people prefer warm meals at the start of the cycle," he said. "I wanted to try." She stared at the simple dish. It was imperfect, clearly not made by a professional. Still, the scent was familiar. "You did not need to," she said. "I wanted to," he replied. She sat, he waited, standing awkwardly until she gestured for him to join her. They ate in silence at first. "It is acceptable," she said finally. He smiled. "High praise." That small smile did something strange to her chest. Later that cycle, they attended a council gathering. It was not a formal hearing, but the elders were present. Ariseth wore traditional robes that marked her status. Aaron wore Terran formal wear again, still simple. Eyes followed them as they entered. The elders spoke of trade routes, border tensions, and shared security. Ariseth listened carefully, offering suggestions when allowed. As always, her voice was polite but often dismissed. This time, Aaron said nothing at first. When an elder spoke over her, Aaron turned his head slightly toward Ariseth, not the elder. "Please," he said calmly, "finish your thought." The room stilled again. Ariseth hesitated, then continued. Her voice did not shake. The elders did not like it. After the meeting, one elder cornered Aaron privately. "You are disrupting balance," the elder said. "Your role is clear." "My role," Aaron replied evenly, "is to maintain peace." "By strength," the elder insisted. Aaron shook his head. "By trust." The elder left in displeasure. That evening, Ariseth confronted Aaron once more. "You are making enemies," she said. "I know. They could remove you. They could try." She studied him closely. "You are not afraid." "I am," he said honestly, but fear does not decide my actions. That honesty struck her harder than any show of power. In the cycles that followed, small routines formed between them. They walked the gardens together. They shared meals. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they did not. Silence became comfortable. Ariseth found herself asking questions she never expected to ask. "Why did you accept this bond?" she asked one evening as they watched the artificial sky dim. Aaron considered. "Because refusing would have harmed your people and mine. You sacrificed your freedom." "So did you," she nodded slowly. "What do Terrans believe about bonds?" she asked. "That partnership should be chosen," he said, "but when it is not, respect matters even more." No one had ever explained bonds to her that way. The servants began to relax around Aaron. Fear faded into curiosity. Some even smiled when he passed. This did not go unnoticed. A noblewoman confronted Ariseth during a public function. "Your Terran is soft," she said. "Is that what you wanted?" Ariseth surprised herself by answering immediately. "He is strong in ways you do not understand." The noblewoman scoffed, but word spread. Ariseth realized she was defending him now. That realization unsettled her even more than fear ever had. One cycle, an incident occurred. A shipment meant for the residents was delayed. Supplies ran low. The servants panicked, expecting punishment. Ariseth prepared to issue formal complaints. Aaron stopped her gently. "Let me handle it," he said. She watched as he contacted the supply office. He spoke calmly. He listened. He apologized for pressure they were under. Within hours, the shipment arrived. No threats, no authority used. "Why did they respond so quickly?" Ariseth asked. "Because I treated them like people," he replied. That answer stayed with her. The council summoned them again soon after. This time the tone was sharper. "The public perception is shifting," an elder said. "This bond must display unity and hierarchy." "I will not pretend," Aaron replied. Ariseth felt something tighten inside her. "If the Terran refuses cooperation," another elder said, "we may reconsider his position." Silence filled the chamber. Ariseth spoke before thinking. "He has cooperated fully," she said. "He has shown nothing but respect." The elders turned to her surprised. "You defend him?" one asked. "I speak the truth," she replied. Aaron glanced at her, something unreadable in his eyes. The meeting ended without resolution. That night Ariseth could not sleep. She found Aaron awake in the outer quarters, reading again. "They will pressure you more," she said. "I know. You could still change. Assert control, they would approve." He looked up at her. "Would you?" She swallowed. "No." "Then neither will I." She sat beside him, closer than before. "You confuse me," she admitted. He closed the slate. "I am not trying to. I was taught to fear you. I was taught you would see me as a tool." They looked at each other, then really looked. "We were both wrong," she said softly. "Yes," he agreed. Something shifted between them, not sudden, not dramatic, just steady and real. In the days that followed, Ariseth noticed how her people watched her now, how they listened when she spoke, how the bond had changed not just her life but her position. And she knew why. Because the Terran beside her did not demand space. He made room. One evening, as they stood on the balcony again, she spoke quietly. "I no longer fear you," he smiled gently. "That means more than you know." She hesitated, then added, "I trust you." Aaron did not speak for a long moment. "Then I will spend my life earning that trust," he said. Below them, the city lights glowed steadily, and across the galaxy, old stories about Terrans began to crack. Slowly, irreversibly, the change did not go unnoticed. Across the capital, whispers followed Lady Ariseth wherever she went. Not the sharp whispers of mockery she had known before, but careful ones, curious ones. Her people watched how she stood beside the Terran, how she spoke, how she was no longer silent, and they watched him even more. Aaron Hale walked through halls built long before humans had learned spaceflight, yet he did not act like a visitor or a conqueror. He moved as if he understood that every step mattered. He greeted guards. He listened to clerks. He waited. Some nobles found this insulting. Others found it unsettling. Ariseth began to see the divide clearly. One cycle, she was invited to speak at a cultural forum. It was meant to be symbolic, nothing more. A chance for her to read prepared words and smile. That had always been her role. This time she chose not to bring a prepared speech. Aaron did not advise her to do so. He simply asked, "What do you want to say?" She had not known how to answer then. Standing now before the gathered nobles and scholars, she felt the weight of that question. She spoke slowly, choosing simple words. She spoke of tradition, yes, but also of listening, of bonds that were more than control, of strength that did not crush. Some faces showed surprise, others showed displeasure. When she finished, the hall was quiet. Aaron stood a few steps behind her. He did not clap, he did not step forward, he let the silence exist. Later, in private, Ariseth let out a breath she had been holding. "I should not have said all that," she murmured. "You said what was true," Aaron replied. "They will react." "They already were," he said gently. She looked at him. "You knew." "Yes, and you let me speak anyway. Always." That night she could not sleep. She lay awake thinking of her childhood lessons, of how often she had been corrected, of how often she had been told to be careful, to be quiet, to survive. No one had ever told her to be honest. The pressure came swiftly. A senior noble requested a private audience. Ariseth attended alone, as custom demanded. "You are changing," the noble said without greeting. "I am growing," Ariseth replied. "That Terran influences you. He respects me. That is not the same thing." Ariseth met the noble's gaze. "It is better." The noble leaned closer. "You forget your place." For the first time in her life, Ariseth did not lower her eyes. "I remember it clearly," she said. "I am done being small." The noble left in anger. When Ariseth returned home, her hands trembled. She did not want Aaron to see that weakness, but he noticed anyway. He did not ask questions. He poured her a warm drink and sat nearby. After a long silence, she spoke. "They are afraid," she said. "Yes. Of you?" "Of what I represent," he corrected. "Choice," she looked at him. "And if they force a test," he tilted his head. "What kind of test?" "A public one," she said, "to see who leads, who commands." Aaron thought for a moment. "Then we will answer honestly," she frowned. "That could cost you everything." "It already has," he replied calmly. She turned to him. "Why are you so certain?" "Because I decided long ago that I would rather lose power than lose myself." Those words settled deep inside her. The test came sooner than expected. The council announced a public ceremony, a reaffirmation of the bond, a display meant to reassure the empire. Everyone knew what it was meant to show: control. The ceremony took place in the open plaza. Thousands gathered, screens broadcasted across systems. Ariseth stood in ceremonial dress. Aaron stood beside her. The elder spoke loudly, his voice carrying. "This bond unites strength and wisdom," he declared. "The Terran shall now demonstrate his leadership." Ariseth felt her chest tighten. The elder turned to Aaron. "Command your bonded partner to kneel." The crowd went silent. This was it. Every lesson told her what should happen next. Aaron did not move. "I will not," he said. Gasps spread through the plaza. The elder's voice sharpened. "This is tradition." "So was silence," Aaron replied. "We grow beyond it." Ariseth felt dizzy. "Order her," the elder demanded. Aaron turned to Ariseth instead. "Do you wish to kneel?" he asked quietly. Her breath caught. Thousands watched. She straightened. "No," she said. Aaron turned back to the elder. "There is your answer." The reaction was immediate: anger, shock, fear. The elder raised a hand. "This is unacceptable." Ariseth stepped forward before anyone could stop her. "This bond was formed for peace," she said, her voice steady. "Peace cannot exist without respect. I will not kneel to be owned." The plaza erupted in noise. Aaron remained still, a calm presence beside her. The council withdrew shortly after. The ceremony ended without closure. Back at the residence, Ariseth's legs finally gave out. She sat heavily, shaking. "They will come for you," she whispered. Aaron knelt in front of her, not touching her. "Listen to me," he said softly. "Whatever happens next, I do not regret today." Tears filled her eyes. "You risked everything." "No," he said. "I chose what mattered." In the days that followed, consequences arrived. Aaron lost access to certain council privileges. Invitations stopped coming. Doors closed. Ariseth expected him to be angry. He was not. He spent more time in the gardens, more time learning, more time listening, and something unexpected happened. Common citizens began to send messages, quiet ones, grateful ones. They spoke of seeing themselves in that moment, of feeling seen. Ariseth read them in silence. One message stood out. "We did not know bonds could look like that." She looked up at Aaron. "They are watching." "Yes," he said, "and learning." The council summoned Ariseth alone this time. She went head high. "You have embarrassed us," an elder said. "I spoke truth." "You endangered stability." "I strengthened it," she replied. They argued for a long time. When she returned home, exhausted, Aaron was waiting. "Well," he asked. "They are divided," she said. "Some fear change, some want it." He nodded. "That is how it begins." She sat beside him. "I once thought fear was strength," she said quietly. Now I see it was a cage, he smiled gently. You broke it yourself. She looked at him, really looked at him. The Terran she had feared, the one she had been forced to wed. You never treated me like property, she said. Because you are not. She reached out, hesitated, then placed her hand over his. He did not pull away. The bond between them was still political in the eyes of the galaxy, but something deeper had taken root: trust. And far beyond their world, the story of a Terran who refused to command began to spread, not as a tale of weakness, but as a warning. Humanity was changing the rules. The aftermath of the public ceremony did not fade quietly. The capital moved differently now. Conversations stopped when Lady Ariseth passed. Some eyes held respect. Others held fear. Many held confusion. She felt it everywhere. The council did not summon Aaron again. Instead, they ignored him. His access to official channels was reduced. His presence at gatherings was no longer requested. It was a soft punishment, a quiet one. Ariseth saw it clearly. They are trying to erase you, she said one evening as they walked through the gardens. They cannot, Aaron replied calmly. I still exist. That is not what I mean, he smiled slightly. I know. She stopped walking and turned to face him. Does it not anger you? He considered the question. It does, but anger would only give them what they want. She studied him. You choose patience even when it costs you. Yes, that is not weakness. No, he agreed. It is work. The next council announcement shook the capital. A reform summit would be held. Representatives from several allied species would attend. The bond between Ariseth and the Terran would be evaluated publicly. Everyone understood what that meant. They would decide whether the bond should continue. Ariseth read the message twice, her hands steady despite the storm inside her. They are testing you again, she said. They are testing us, Aaron corrected. She looked at him. If they dissolve the bond, you could leave, return home. Yes, and if they do not, then I stay, he said simply. She hesitated. You could still choose to go. He met her gaze. Do you want me to? The question was gentle. It was honest. She did not answer immediately. She searched herself the way she had learned to do since meeting him. No, she said finally. I do not. He nodded as if he had already known. The summit brought outsiders into the capital. New accents, new customs, new opinions. Some species viewed humans with caution. Others with open distrust. Ariseth attended the opening gathering alone. It was expected. Aaron waited at the residence. The hall buzzed with discussion. Ariseth listened more than she spoke. Then a representative from a distant system addressed her directly. Is it true, the representative asked, that your Terran refuses to command you? Yes, Ariseth replied. Is that not dangerous? She answered without hesitation. Only to those who rely on control. Murmurs followed. Later, another representative approached her privately. Your bond is unusual, the being said. Why do you tolerate it? Ariseth felt something steady rise within her. I do not tolerate it, she said. I choose it. That word followed her back home. Choose. Aaron noticed her mood the moment she entered. You held your ground, he said. They pushed, she replied. I did not bend, he smiled. Good. The next day, Aaron was summoned unexpectedly. Ariseth insisted on attending. The council chamber felt colder than before. The summit has raised concerns, an elder began. The Terran's conduct undermines established hierarchy. Aaron spoke evenly. Hierarchy without consent becomes oppression. The elder's eyes narrowed. Careful, Ariseth stepped forward. You asked for unity, you received it, just not in the form you expected. Silence fell. One elder leaned back. Perhaps the Terran believes himself irreplaceable. Aaron shook his head. No, I believe principles are. Another elder scoffed. You speak like an idealist. Yes, Aaron replied. History is changed by them. The council dismissed them shortly after. Outside, Ariseth exhaled slowly. They will not decide today, she said. No, Aaron agreed. They are afraid to. That fear spread. Citizens gathered in small groups across the capital. Discussions filled public channels. Some praised the bond, some condemned it. Ariseth began receiving requests, invitations to speak, to explain. She accepted some, declined others. Aaron did not attend these meetings unless she asked. He never spoke for her. One evening, a message arrived from a distant colony, a formal request. They wish to observe the bond directly. They want to see if it is real, Ariseth said. Aaron nodded. Then let them. The visit was quiet, no ceremony, just conversation. The visitors watched how Aaron deferred to Ariseth's decisions, how he waited, how he listened. At the end, one visitor spoke softly. We thought humans were conquerors. Aaron smiled politely. We prefer builders. After they left, Ariseth felt a strange mix of pride and worry. You are changing how they see your entire species, she said. We are, he corrected. The summit's final session arrived. The hall was full. Representatives watched closely. The council elders sat rigid. The lead elder stood. This bond defies expectation, he said. It challenges tradition. Ariseth prepared herself. However, the elder continued, it has prevented unrest rather than caused it. Murmurs spread. The Terran's refusal to dominate has inspired discussion. That word again, discussion. We will not dissolve the bond, the elder said at last. Ariseth felt her knees weaken slightly. But, the elder added, changes will follow. Aaron met Ariseth's eyes, calm, steady. The session ended without celebration. Outside, the capital breathed. Back at the residence, Ariseth finally allowed herself to sit in silence. We survived, she said. For now, Aaron replied. She laughed softly. You always say that. Because it is true, she turned to him. Do you ever regret being Terran? He thought carefully. No, but I regret that fear defines us before we speak. She nodded. I regret believing it. They sat together as night settled. You know, she said quietly, they expected you to break. They still do, and you did not. No, she looked at him with something close to wonder. You stood alone, he shook his head. I stood with you. That mattered more than any title. The galaxy had expected domination. Instead, it witnessed restraint, and that unsettled it deeply. Change rarely announced itself with force. Sometimes it arrived as a human who refused to command, and an alien woman who chose not to kneel. The final judgment had not yet come, but the balance had already shifted. The galaxy did not change all at once. It never did. But after the summit, something quiet began to move beneath old systems and rigid laws. Messages crossed space faster than official reports. Stories were shared in private channels than in public ones. A Terran who refused to command, an alien noblewoman who refused to kneel, a bond that looked nothing like control. Lady Ariseth felt the shift before she fully understood it. Requests continued to arrive, not demands. Requests, invitations to speak at distant forums, questions from scholars, careful messages from leaders who did not yet dare speak openly. Aaron watched it all with the same calm patience he always carried. You have become a symbol, he said one morning as they shared a quiet meal. She frowned. I never asked to be. No one ever does, he replied. That is usually how it happens. She set her cup down. And you, he smiled faintly. I am a problem, she laughed softly. You are. The council did not challenge the bond again, but they did not embrace it either. Instead, they adapted, slowly, carefully, as institutions always did when faced with change they could not stop. Ariseth was given more responsibility, committees, advisory roles. Positions that once would have gone to louder voices. This time, she spoke without asking permission. Aaron never joined those sessions unless she invited him. He did not sit at her side to display unity. He waited outside or worked elsewhere. That choice spoke louder than any speech. One cycle, a delegation from a powerful neighboring alliance arrived. Their reputation was harsh. Their culture valued order above all. Ariseth prepared herself for hostility. The lead delegate studied her openly, then turned to Aaron. Is it true, the delegate asked, that you hold authority over her and refuse to use it? Yes, Aaron replied. The delegate tilted their head. Strange. Perhaps, Aaron said, but effective. The delegate considered this. Later, during private discussion, the delegate spoke again. Our people rule through fear, they admitted. It is efficient. Ariseth answered this time. So is silence, she said, until it breaks. The delegation left without agreement. They returned 2 cycles later with questions. Ariseth noticed how often that happened now. Questions, not challenges. The residents changed too. It no longer felt temporary. It felt lived in. Aaron's presence blended naturally into the space, not as an owner, not as a ruler. As a partner, one evening as they walked through the gardens, Ariseth stopped suddenly. I need to ask you something, she said. He turned to her. You always can. If the bond had been dissolved, she asked, would you have stayed anyway? He did not answer immediately. Yes, he said at last. If you wanted me to. She felt warmth spread through her chest. I would have, she said. He smiled, not triumphant, not relieved, just honest. The message that changed everything arrived without warning. A minor world on the edge of council space requested mediation. Their leaders had seen the public ceremony. They had seen the summit. They asked for Ariseth by name, not the council, not the elders, her. They trust you, Aaron said as she read the message. They trust the idea, she replied, not me. Sometimes, he said, that is enough to begin. The council resisted. Of course they did, but refusing would have looked worse. Ariseth traveled to the minor world with a small delegation. Aaron went with her not as authority but as support. The talks were tense, old wounds, old fears. Ariseth listened. Aaron listened. They did not interrupt. They did not threaten. They did not promise what they could not give. They asked questions. They acknowledged pain. The agreement that followed was not perfect, but it held. When they returned to the capital, the council could no longer pretend nothing had changed. Ariseth was no longer just a noble bound by tradition. She was proof. That night she stood on the balcony alone, looking out at the city lights. Aaron joined her quietly. "You look tired," he said. "I am," she admitted, "but it is a good kind of tired." He leaned on the railing beside her. "Do you ever think about what they will say about us?" she asked. "In the future?" "Yes," he considered. "They will argue, they always do," she smiled. "Let them." Silence settled between them, comfortable and deep. "Aaron," she said softly, "yes, I never thanked you." "For what? For treating me like no one ever did." He turned to face her fully. "You never needed to thank me," he said. "You deserved it." Her eyes shone. The final council session of the cycle was unlike any before it. The elders spoke less, others spoke more. Ariseth addressed the chamber not as a symbol, but as herself. "We feared humanity because we thought strength meant domination," she said. "We were wrong," murmurs rippled. "The Terran beside me did not conquer, he did not command, he did not threaten. And yet he changed everything." She paused. "Not by force," she continued, "by choice." The chamber was silent when she finished. The lead elder spoke at last. "The galaxy is watching," he said. Ariseth nodded. "Good." Outside the chamber, Aaron waited as always. She walked to him with steady steps. "It is done," she said. "Is it?" he asked gently. She smiled. "No, but it has begun." That evening they shared a simple meal. No ceremony, no observers, just two beings who had survived fear together. "You know," Aaron said, "humans will tell this story wrong." She raised an eyebrow. "How so?" "They will say a Terran changed an empire." She shook her head. "That is not what happened." "No," he agreed. "An alien woman chose not to kneel." She reached for his hand, this time without hesitation. He held it. Across the galaxy, the reputation of humanity shifted, not as conquerors, not as monsters, but as something far more dangerous to old systems. Humans who would not dominate, humans who would wait. Humans who would treat others as equals, even when power allowed them not to. Empires could resist force. They struggled against respect. And long after treaties faded and councils changed, one truth remained. The Terran she had feared did not take her freedom. He protected it. And in doing so, humanity earned something rare among the stars. Not fear, but trust.